What's up, everyone? This is Brandon with Balls Deep Hot Rods in episode 2 of cutting and buffing. So as you can see, this is the fender that we worked on before in my previous episode, where we had welded that spot that was cracking due to that very small, tiny little crack. Today, we're going to be sanding down a 39 DeSoto fender, which is going to be going on this. And we're going to be giving it a star, 5-star show finish. So to start, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with our 1000 grit 3M sandpaper, or mirror finish, sorry. As you can see right there. And we're going to be using a Durablock, this one right here. Now, I like to use the bottle of water because there's no contaminants that go into the water. It's just straight clean to surface. Give it a good rub down like so. Make sure our block is, paper is wrapped around the block nice and good. And we're going to actually block. So sometimes people can use 1200. They like to start off with 1200. Everyone's different. I put a lot of clear on my show cars so that way I can use my 1000 to get it down nice and flat before I hit it with my 2000, and that way you can hit all the dirt nibs and everything really, really fast. I like to start off with a pattern, almost to go sideways this way, and then I'll finish it off. Sometimes I'll move sideways that way. If you hear any gritty sounds, like anything's rubbing, spray off your area, spray off your sandpaper, because there might be a piece of a granule of sand or dirt nib or something caught in between, which will scratch your surface area. And that you do not want. You want it to be a very smooth sound. I like to only hit the edges a few times. You stay away from the edges because edges tend to burn really, really fast. And then you'll be doing this all over again when you have to respray. Some people like to put a little bit of dish soap or soap into their water, which can help keep the area clean. It helps slide your sandpaper around a little bit easier. Some people do, some people don't. It really all depends on the person. Everyone has their own methods again. Just keep going. What the 1000 does is the 1000 eliminates the orange peel or any waviness to the clear coat, and it does it rather quickly. Sometimes if you're a beginner and you're not used to doing this all the time, you might want to start with like a 1200. Some people go with 1000 on their DA. Some people do 1200 on the DA and prefer to do everything on the DA. I like to have kind of a little bit of both, and it all really depends on the project as well. Sometimes I'll hit it with 1000, then I'll hit it with 2000 by hand, and then I'll hit it with 3000 really quickly with the DA just to get a really quick sand polish out of it, which leads to when you buff out, it buffs out really, really quick. most of my show cars, actually all of my show cars, I like to put about 5 or 6 coats of clear on it. So then that way it gives you plenty of room when you're sanding to give you a really, really super deep flat finish. And then when you polish it out, it looks really deep, like really, really, really deep. And I'll show you that when we're all finished so you can see what I'm talking about. When you're dealing with show cars, a lot of people, they don't like to see orange peel, or they don't like to see waviness in the clear. They like to see something that's worthy of winning first prize at any show. So that's what I strive for. Wet sanding, color, some people call it color sanding or cutting and buffing. It's got a different name to it. But it's an art on its own. You just have to learn to be patient, get you a test panel, something like a motorcycle tank, do it a couple times, play with the different, with your own different methods, so that way, you know if you like using 1,000 or 1,200 or 2,000. Some people will work it up from 1,000 to 1,200 to 1,500 to 2,000 to 3,000. So that everybody has their own way. This is just what works best for them. Every once in a while, get yourself a clean, very clean microfiber towel to wipe it down, because then you're able to see how flat so far you are on your surface area, to know that it's ready or not ready. Find any dirt nibs, like we have a dirt nib right there, a little bit of a dimple right there, a little bit of a low right there, but because of how we're doing it, we're using the block, we'll be able to block all this stuff out. But for the most part, you'll be able to see that flat finish without any blemishes, dirt nibs, or orange peel. Alright, I'm going to jump through the time warp, get these knocked out real quick, and then I will show you what it looks like when we're at before we hit 2,000. Okay guys, so what we have here is the rear fender, the 39 DeSoto, is now blocked with 1,000. As you can see, all the sand scratches, but it's nice and smooth. A couple spots looks like I gotta hit real quick, but I wanted to show you what this looked like beforehand, so you can see the textures. You see how you can see all the waviness and like the orange peel, dirt nibs. Let me get a little closer, see if you can get a better view. There you go. If you look at the actual lights and the reflection, you can see the waviness, the little ripples. That's the orange peel. So that's what it looks like before you wet sand and buff. So the whole goal is to, when you wet sand, is to eliminate all of that, so that when you buff it out, it gives you a very, very high gloss show finish, such as this right here, where you can't see any rippleness. Everything, all the reflections are very clear. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to crack open this right here, Red Bull Coconut, my absolute favorite. Then we are going to hit it with 2,000. Just to show you what a dirt nib looks like. If you look right there closely, you'll see a little dot with a halo around it. That's your dirt nibs. Those are things that I like to take my 1,000 and just in one area get it a little bit wet. just go over just that spot on the dirt nib. You don't want to dig it out, you don't want to go crazy with it or go bad. It's just nice and light with your 1000, and that'll block that out. Go a couple different directions so that way you're getting each side of the nib. Sometimes you can make a circular motion. Again, everyone's different. I just like to use a block so that way as you're blocking, it continuously creates that really, really flat show finish throughout the entire area. Wipe it down. And the dirt nib is gone. Just that easy. Okay. So now we're going to be using our 3M 2000 wet sandpaper. Again, everyone's different. I like to block it. I'll give it a good block, and then I'll go by hand and use a smaller block to get a quicker little polish on it. Everyone's different. Everyone has their different ways, methods. So, get a bottle of water. Give it a good wet down. Clean up any contaminants or dirt, dust that might be on there. And repeat the process. Back and you just want to do that until all your 1000 scratches are gone. You'll notice that they're gone if you go a different direction or straight, or you do circular motions like this, and then when you dry it off, you'll notice that all of your cross pattern is gone. If that's what you decide to do. Also, a good way to tell when the 2000 is good enough is you'll almost have a polish. It looks almost polished when you're done. You can still see a reflection in it. It's still shiny with the exception to the sand scratches. Be careful. One of the things that you want to make sure you look for is, as you're sanding, you always want to look for color. Whatever color the base coat is on the sandpaper or on the surface. If you're sanding and you start to see color, stop immediately. You've just burned through the clear and now have to scuff it all up, dust a little bit of color on there, and go. If you put enough clear on there, then and you just take your time, relax, and you won't have to worry about it. Not that it's never happened, but chances of having are a lot slim, a lot more. One thing I've noticed about sanding is it kind of gives you time to think, gives you time to just relax. Bond with the fender, bond with the car, you know. Get another wipe down. This way you can see the difference between 1000 and 2000 areas. It's all dried off. So another good thing to know too is as you're wet sanding, what that basically doing is you're taking the clear on there and you're opening up the clear. So that way any little bits of fumes or anything in there are now also allowing it to escape. You're opening it up to help cure it faster. Not that it's not cured, but you still want to give it enough time to fully cure too. So as you can tell, right here, you kind of have a really, you can almost see my reflection on the phone, but you can see the reflection to the lighting, and then you say go to the end right there where it's a lot different. That's the spot that I have not hit with 2000, and then you go on to the spot that has hit the 2000. So right here, 2000, 2000, 2000, not 2000. Do you see the difference? Okay. So put this back over here. And we're going to do another time jump. And put this right here, finish up with 2000, and then we'll give it a quick spread with 3000, and then we'll start the buff. All right, everybody. Next up, we've hit it with 2000. Next up, we're going to hit it with some Meguiars High Cutting Pro Speed Compound. Fairly inexpensive, but works really good for getting those hand scratches. You only need a little bit. A wool pad, and I like to do this roughly about 1800. So first, you want to kind of take it, kind of rub it in. Be nice and slow to kind of massage it in. Now normally what I like to do is I like to focus on small sections at a time. Don't try to do the whole thing. You just want to focus on, say, like 1 foot by 1 foot at a time, maybe a little bit less, just until that spot's perfected. And then you go back, and just when you think it's good, you do it one more time, and then you move on to the next, then you wipe everything down and go back and start to polish. I like to take another clean microfiber towel on the softer side, give it kind of a wipe down to see where we're at, look at the reflection on it, make sure the clarity of reflection is on point. Sometimes you may have to stop and take some more 1000 to recut or re-wet sand, and then start the process over just to make sure you have more of a flat finish. But as you can see, just with that, it gives us a pretty good finish. There's still going to be some marks, but what I want you to see is the reflection on the ceiling. You can see everything really clear. You can see, if I were to put my hand, you can see everything really well, fingers. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow up with another method. So this was turned on. This is Norton liquid ice. Was recommended by Dr. Metal. He says he's used it on a lot of different things, and from what I saw, it worked absolute wonders on polishing out and buffing. It says it removes everything up to 1200 scratches. Not that I would, but just for good measure, just use a very little bit, like so. We're going to clean off our buffing pad. Always want to clean off your buffing pad and not use a different type on there. That's what I like to do. Then you want to go a little bit lower, start off like a 14, as you can see, like right here on the settings, and maybe work our way up to 18, and then the highest I usually go is 22. So we'll start off with like the 14. Moved it up to 1800. as you can see, absolute beauty. You look in there, we still have our swirl marks because we haven't polished or hand glazed, but as you can see, the polish on it, or the buff on it, is absolutely beautiful. So then what I'll do is I'll go back and we'll use a polish. Black foam polishing pad. So we're going to use the Norton ice area like so. A little bit goes a long ways. There's a black pad on our buffer. Turn it down to about 1400. You just want to work it back and forth, nice and easy. Let that polish do its thing. The pad, turn it, push it, magnet. All you're doing is moving the magnet. I like to go different ways, whether it's side to side, up and down, in a cross type pattern, to let it really work every different angle and every different way. So that when you get your finish, it's not just hitting from side to side. And you'll see what, once you've done it a couple times, you'll know what I'm talking about. I try to keep the pad flat, so you can almost let it rest on there. You want to keep the pad as flat as possible. Sometimes you can turn it on its side if you're going to hit an edge. The key is just where it's at. microfiber towel, like so, on the softer side. Nice wipe down. The thing I like about this Norton Ice the most is that you can actually use the same product without switching the bottle and just use a different pad. So if you're starting off with your cutting, your very step number 1 in your wool pad, you can use your Norton Ice as a cutter. And if then you're going off into your step 2 foam pad, and you want to use it as more just a finer polish, you use the same product. And then when you want to use your final polish, you can also use the same thing as your polish. And then, even if you really, really want to, when you go to hand glaze it or luster it, take your rag, and you can use it as a luster and just do it by hand, which will get rid of all your swirl marks and your leftover swirl marks. But for the most part, as I was using the foam pad, my final polishing foam pad, it took out all the swirl marks, just like so. And that finish is absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. You look on there, you can see my reflection. Look at that. How many fingers am I holding up? Besides the shadow. But you can see the reflection on there is nice and clear. And you look to the side, and you can just see how beautiful that finish is. So you go from this in your 2000, what I like to do, finishes off into this right here, which is that real rich, deep, buff polish. So, I like to say, I give this stuff, Norton Liquid Ice, an A 5-star rating. Absolutely beautiful. This stuff is phenomenal. I also like to give it up to Meguiars. That's something I've always used, something I'm used to. Also gives a good finish, but for the most part, if you use the Meguiars, you also have to use a different polish when you go to polish. So there it is, folks. Cutting and buffing into polishing. Stay tuned for the next one, when we will be talking about waxing on our finished product. When all this right here is put back together. The 1939 DeSoto. This is Brandon with Balls Deep Hot Rods. I'm out.